I'm Sonia, and if you're new here, hi! Make sure you subscribe and like this video. Today is my husband's birthday. Woo! And he always wants one thing for his birthday, and that is an apple pie. So today I'm going to show you how to make the best apple pie. I haven't always been great at apple pies, but I have perfected it. It has always been his favorite thing to have on his birthday, and so I've worked really hard to get this recipe just perfect. It is the perfect apple pie. So make sure you stay tuned and learn how to do the recipe with me. And also, for a fun add-in, my daughter Elena is going to teach you how to sing Happy Birthday in ASL, because who doesn't want to learn that? It's super fun, and maybe that's why you're here. Maybe you're here to learn Happy Birthday in ASL, or maybe you're here for the fun recipe, or just to hang out. So, let's get started. Okay, let's get started with making the apple pie. The first thing we're going to do is start with the crust, and we're going to need about 12 tablespoons of butter, and then we're also going to use 1/3 of a cup of vegetable shortening. I have made different pie crusts just out of butter, just out of shortening, and I find that the best crust, the flakiest crust, the one that's the most tender, is a combination of them both. I wanted to show you this is because what we're going to do is cut them up into small little pieces, and then we're going to stick them in the freezer to get a little bit colder. You don't want to freeze them, you don't want them solid, but you want them super cold when we start making our crust. And so we're going to do this first. So we're going to put this in the freezer, and while this is cooling off, we're going to start with our filling. And again, on the shortening, it's just 1/3 of a cup. And again, we're just going to cut it into small little pieces, and I'll show you why that we need them in a small pieces. And I also feel like if this is just too much for you, you could buy a store crust, but I'm telling you, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this, okay? This is the easiest way. I know you can use a pastry cutter and flour and cut it in, but I'm going to show you how to do it actually in a food processor, and it's super easy. I'm telling you, anybody can do this. If I can do this, you can do it. I have used different kinds of apples, and I've actually even tried a combination of like all apples and like one pear, because some people think it makes it a little sweeter, but I find the best apple pie, as my dog Tex, is using just straight Granny Smith apples. I think it gives it the best flavor. I think that when they're baked, they have a nice consistency. They're not too squishy when you bake them. I don't want an apple pie that's like mush. That's just, no. My husband would not enjoy that. And as a matter of fact, and so I did, well, I'll tell you that in a second. I did buy this apple peeler core probably, I don't know, a few years ago at the grocery store. You can pick them up a lot of places. Amazon has them. It's probably like our third one because they don't last forever, but I think this one was cheap. It was probably like $20 or less. And so you just want to peel and core your apples. You could use one of those apple slicers, like the ones you could peel it and then cut it into the ones that you push down. It cuts them into like, I think like 6 or 8 pieces. The only thing with that is then you would have to cut them again, because if you left them that big, then it would never cook, and then your crust would cook and your inside wouldn't cook, and it would make a mess. Oh, my Tex, he loves apples, and more than anything else, he loves an apple pie. It is just his favorite, and it is also my husband's favorite. Recently, he was at a conference where they had like the top chefs in his hotel chain that went for a conference, and top food and beverage directors, and they asked each of them, if you could eat just one thing every day for your entire life, you had to eat one thing, what would it be? What do you enjoy? And my husband said, for sure, hands down, my wife's apple pie. And I thought, oh, he's so sweet. He is so sweet. I hope during this time that we've been at home or anything else that you have done something sweet for the person or people that you love in your life and show them some love. I know my husband is the most romantic person ever. If I see a picture, I'll have to show you that he was so into like, we haven't been hanging out, that he had like made like his own little table restaurant dinner date thing. I'll have to show you what he made. If I can find a picture, I'll include it. And he is just so romantic, and he just, he's perfect. Anyways, back to my pie. So you need to cut the outside, anything of, your apple. So you don't want any of the peel. You don't want any of the hard core. I was showing you, you could use one of those apple cutters, but I think you would have to cut it and then try to cut them again. If you could buy an apple core peeler, unless you're really good at cutting apples by hand and getting the core out, I think they are just so much easier. So, and I did put it in my Pyrex measuring, and then I put it into my thing because I kind of want to get a general idea of how much apples I'm actually putting into my apple pie, because obviously when you buy apples every time you're at the grocery store in different seasons, they might be a different size. So I am measuring them out so that they will be the same size. And as a matter of fact, I just want to remind you that my recipe will be in the description box below. So if you can watch this, but then when you're done, if you want to actually make this and you want to go through it and read the recipe, it'll be down there. You just hit the little arrow and it'll drop down. Tex is just a true lover of apple pies. As a matter of fact, when my husband turned 40, there's a story that I made my husband several pies for his birthday. We sang him happy birthday, and then we went to dinner, and by the time we came back, we forgot to move our pies to the middle of the table. Tex had eaten pretty much a half of each pie because that's all he could, as far as he could reach. So he is just a true lover of apples, and that's me throwing it to him. Every dog loves apples, or at least both of my labs do. I don't know where my other one, I think he might be around the corner. So you just want to make sure that you peel and, core your apples, trim off all the outside, trim off the core so you just have the good part. And then we're going to go ahead and get our filling ready for our pie. We're going to start out with 3/4 cup of sugar, and then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour, and that's just what's going to, thicken the inside. I'm checking my phone to just double check my recipe. Every time I kind of change it, I try to remind myself. My husband always says, if you change the recipe, write it down to what you did so that you can remember the next time, because I take a recipe and I'll do it over and over, and every time kind of change it up a little. And then I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. If you can't find the pumpkin pie spice, you could just do double the cinnamon if you like. And they sell a lot of places. Trader Joe's where I buy mine. And if you haven't tried Saigon cinnamon, I think it's sweeter. I think it's better. If you can find it too over regular cinnamon, it's a lot better. If you can't, no big deal. Because you could just use regular cinnamon. I just think it's just a little bit sweeter. And then I want you to just mix it up and really get in there and mix up your apples. I wanted to show you all the steps and to speed it up a little bit so you could see everything. I know when I make something, I like to see what it looks like. If you read a recipe, sometimes you're like, is that really right? Or, does mine look right? So I just wanted to show this to you. So then we're going to get started with our crust. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar into our food processor. And then we're just going to pulse it real quick and blend them all together. I'm telling you, this is the easiest crust ever. And I'm going to start with putting in our shortening, and I just went and got it out of the freezer. So it was in there just a little bit, but remember, it's cold, it's not frozen, so you want to make sure of that. And then you're just going to pulse it until you start combining it. And then I'm going to go ahead and take off my top and add in my butter into my flour mixture that already has a shortening. And then I'm going to put the top back on and pulse it again. And then I don't know if you see, but I have a glass of water with ice. And I was showing you, if you could, you can use a pastry cutter and cut in your butter and shortening. I've tried it, and it's actually, I think, to get a really tender crust, you have to be really good at it. I have a friend that's really good at making crust, and she does it that way, but I can't. So I think I end up using about 12 tablespoons of water. What you want to do is add it in a little bit at a time, because you do not want to overmix this. I think I actually overmixed it just to drop this today. You want to get it till it's just combined, like right before it turns into like a ball. It's just like getting wet. It's kind of everything starting to stick together, and then you're going to take it out and you're going to work the dough into a ball. And you want to make sure that you are using cold water You don't want it to be warm or anything. That's why I put the water in with the ice, and I'm measuring it out 1 tablespoon at a time. And then we're just going to pulse it until it's combined. And once it's combined, we're going to take it out and put a little flour and then start working our dough. So as you can see, it's starting to come together. And I'm telling you, this dough is super easy. You don't need to really buy any more frozen pie dough. I'm telling you, if I can do this, you can do this. I'm not like the best at, I would say, at this compared to other people that can do it by hand. So once it's all combined, you just want to take some flour, set it out, and we can start pulling it together. You just want to slowly work your dough into a ball. So as you can see, like I'm putting it together. It wasn't really into like a dough ball yet. I'm gonna have to work this dough together because you don't want to go into a food processor until it's already into a like ball, because then you would have already overworked it, and you want your crust to be really tender and flaky. I actually got that cutter I was going to show you at Dollar Tree. It actually has been super handy. I'm going to actually work my dough into one big dough ball, and then before I chill it, because I'm going to chill it again before I roll it out, I'm going to actually cut it into 2 pieces. I think it's easier to do it before you chill it again, and cut it in half so I can have one for the top of my pie and one for the bottom of my pie. And then I'm going to go ahead and put them into some saran wrap, and then I'm going to just put them into the refrigerator until we're ready to use it, because I want them to just get a little bit cooled off. You could probably also put it into the freezer for a minute too, but you need to really keep an eye on it so it's not starting to freeze. You just want them to cool off so when you're rolling them out that they're not going to heat up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is work on rolling out the crust. I want to let you know that I usually use an egg wash, and so I'm beating just 1 egg, and then I'm going to use my pastry brush and I'm going to paint the top of it just to give it like a nice glistening. You got to be careful with this though, because I again have done this a lot of times and it's not always been perfect. I've kind of gotten it gloppy in some parts, and then you basically have just like a cooked egg area. So it needs to be a really thin coat on the top of your dough. And so I just want to show you that here's my pie dish. Pie tin, the Pyrex one, there are a lot of them are really good. I just want to show you this that I bought actually. So it starts getting brown on the outside, like if your oven for some reason has a hot spot and you're like, oh my gosh, it's turning brown in one area, you can just easily put that on instead of, you could use foil too, but so you don't get the outside of your crust too brown. I actually didn't have to use it this time. I haven't used it in a while, but I always get it ready just in case and kind of measure how big it is. And so you just want to roll out your dough into just a circle. I'm not the best person for this. I'm sure there's people that do it better than this, but you just want to work your dough and put it into a circle. I usually leave the other half in my freezer or refrigerator where I have it to keep cold while I'm working on just 1/2 of it. And so you just keep rolling it, and you can even check it to see is it big enough or not, and then just keep working it out until it's big enough. I think I had to try it 1 or 2 times to make sure that it was big enough for us. And sometimes I use the Pyrex one, which is a little, I think this one's more deeper dish than the Pyrex one. The glass one I have is like not as deep, but I think this one's a little bit better because it is a deeper crust. Oh, that's me talking to my daughter, signing to her. So you just push it in and get it all smoothed out, and then you're going to go ahead and put in your filling. You want to make sure that your filling is even, so just put it in and even it out. And on this day I did put it all in, and I felt like it wasn't full enough. Like I just felt like for some reason I just didn't have enough apples, or maybe they broke down more, and I was like, I think I could use a little more, and I still had enough goo on the bottom. So actually I just I washed my hands, and I was like, no, that's not good enough. So I went and got my peeler again and got me like 2 more apples, and I decided to just go ahead and add them in. I hope you guys give this a try. There is nothing better than trying something new or learning something new or doing something really nice for someone you love. I know my son just graduated and I wanted to go and buy him a cake, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? No, I want you to bake me my cake. I don't want us to buy one." So I ended up baking his graduation cake. I think it's because I always have baked a lot of his cakes as he's grown up, me or my husband have. So I decided to add in 2 more, and that's what I would just say is just make sure that it looks pretty full. You don't want your apple pie going super high because then it's going to take forever to bake. And I will tell you that this pie that I make bakes in about 55 minutes. You will know when it's done when you can see it bubbling in the middle. You'll see it like boiling basically. Your pie is bubbling in the middle, and you want to make sure that it does bubble so that the flour that you put in and all of your filling gets nice and thick. And we are actually, in a minute, I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Oh, never mind. I thought we were going to do something else. We're going to roll out the top part. And on the top part, I'm using some cookie cutters. You could just use a knife and make some vents on the top of your apple pie. Or you could, if you're really good at your knife skills, you could probably cut out something really cute. I've cut them out a few times, but mine aren't perfect, so rather just use cookie cutter to make it. And I think I might buy some new ones that are just small, like smaller, because these were just like from like Valentine's Day or one of those big sets of cookie cutters I bought probably for Christmas cookies or something. But I think I might buy some smaller ones, like just for my pies. I mean, I don't know. I think I've had too much time to think about all this while I'm staying at home. But you could just use your knife if you're really good, or just be plain and, cut slits on the top of your apple pie like some people do. But I think I want to make it look, personal, cute. If you're going to put in that much time, you want to make sure it looks like you made it with love and that you cared. So I'm taking here 2 tablespoons of just butter, and this is going to make the inside thicken up and taste really good. It's the important part. You just want to get a small piece. You don't want to forget this. Believe it or not, I've forgotten this, and my inside was not the same. My husband's like, "You forgot your butter." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I know that's what's missing." Like, people that eat pies all the time, they know. My husband, whenever we go to dinner and there's apple pie on the menu, a lot of times he will order the apple pie, and then he's like, "That was disappointing. That was not your apple pie." I'm like, oh. Hey, everybody can't be me. I'm just kidding. I think he likes my apple pie baked with love, right? That's what he always tells me. You know what? The best thing about baking is baking with love. So you want to make sure that you take your 2 crusts and you are going to seal them together. That's the important part in the pie. I'm trying to get better at making this look pretty. Initially, I go around and just kind of, work them together, and then I work on crimping it. I think I need to get better at this part. I'm not bad, but I know some people can make theirs look like really pretty. I know you can even buy something to make them look better. Some people use a spoon or a fork. I just do it with my fingers. I'm trying to go fast. I had like a million things to do that day. Because also I wanted to get him to dinner. So you want to go around and press them together. Make sure that your apple pie is sealed, because you don't want your crust coming apart. It'll make a mess in your oven. And I normally, and you don't want to waste any of your good crust, so I obviously put it right back down. And this is, we're going to take our egg wash and just paint it on with your pastry brush, just a light coating. Mine was getting so thick that I just used my hands to just try to make a thin coat, because I just want it to look, nice and golden and like a little bit shiny, but I don't want thick pieces of egg on it. So that's what I decided to do. And then I like sugar and cinnamon on our top of our pie crust. This is optional, but I think it's really good. I take about half a cup of sugar, and then sprinkle some cinnamon, twirl it around, just a few shakes of cinnamon. I think I did it and I was like, oh, that's not enough, just put a little more. I'm guessing about half a teaspoon. All right, to be honest, I don't measure this. And then, just taste it to your liking. And then I sprinkle it on top, and it makes it kind of like crunchy on top, just a drop. And I was like, sugar is just, oh, it's so good. So give it a try. You're gonna really love this pie. I know you will. And let me know down in the comments if you did try the pie. I'm interested to see if some of you tried it. Okay, and remember, we're gonna get this into the oven. I forgot to tell you. at 375 for 55 minutes. That's all it takes. It's pretty easy. Oh, sorry about that. A little bit of foil in there. I think it was from baking something else. Can't remember. I forgot to take it out. But 375 for 55 minutes, and it will look bubbly when it's done. When I pull it out, I'm going to show you so you can see exactly what it looks like. Oh. No one laughing. Okay, we ready? Okay. No, hang on. Hi, Elena says hi. We're here with my daughter Elena today. She can teach us happy birthday. Ready, Elena? Go.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear God.
Happy birthday.
Can you go again to slow for the slow? Let's go slow so you can teach all your family. Ready? And everybody watching. You ready? Happy, go a little slower. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you. Aw, Elena. Thank you, Elena. You've helped a lot of people today. Learning happy birthdays and ASL. Okay, see you next time, Elena. Bye. Okay, it's been 55 minutes actually exactly. My alarm went off and it's time to take out our pie, and it looks really perfect. It's like perfectly golden brown. My sugar just like crystallized perfectly. I don't know if you can see the bubbles. It like started bubbling in the center, and that's how you know it's done. It's golden, it's bubbly. Oh, I knew that this would be a really great pie. Well, I hope you guys give this a try, and I hope that you subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Here's a picture of my husband. I just want to show you. He really loved the pie. You can tell by that smile. See you next time. Bye. Okay, well, we're here with my daughter Elena to teach us happy birthday in ASL. Okay, hang on, let me pull it back just a little. Okay, we're ready. You ready? Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. What's that? She goes, I'm so sorry. We gotta go again.